Welcome to Whitespace, DCD's weekly roundup of news from the data centre industry with me, Peter Judge, Max Mollax and Michael Hurley. And later we have guest Paul Mangles, who's going to be telling us news about the DCD Awards. But first, let's get to the real big news of the week. Max, what's been exciting you?
This can only be one story, and you know about this, everybody knows about this. It's Pokémon GO. Pokémon GO is the biggest, one of the biggest games ever, you know, like it's a social phenomenon. People have been dying and getting in trouble and getting injured, and like it's happening everywhere. It's happening right outside our office. There's actually a Pokéstop conveniently located, you know, like where we smoke, so it's great.
I wonder why they chose that place. So Pokémon GO, is it a really exciting leading edge game that's pushing the boundaries of game technology?
It's not much of a game at all at the moment. Basically, it's got a lot of potential, but I think unless they start, you know, innovating and adding new bits to it, it's gonna fizzle out pretty quickly. Because it's not much of a game. It's just like, but you might be asking yourself, this is a data center show, where is the data center angle here? Mm-hmm. And there definitely is a data center angle because Pokémon GO had to postpone launches around the world because they ran into trouble. They didn't realize how massive it's going to become, and they had scaling issues. So their infrastructure wasn't up to scratch, you know, like frequent outages, you know, like people couldn't play a game for hours at a time because the cloud couldn't hack it. But which cloud?
Which cloud was it?
That's the question. Okay, now we don't know. Full disclosure, we don't know with 100% certainty, but Niantic, the developer of the game, was actually spun out of Google, and in their recruitment sort of like pages, they advertised for a position that they need employees to create the server infrastructure to support hosted AR geo platform underpinning projects such as Pokémon GO using Java and Google Cloud. And actually, like the other pointer is in the face of Amazon's CTO Werner Vogels, who tweeted at Niantic saying like, "Oh guys, you have troubles with the servers, you know, like we do servers."
So Werner Vogels reckons that if Pokémon GO had been on AWS, it wouldn't have had those issues.
That's the joke, yes.
Do we think that's true? I mean, did it just expand so quickly that any cloud would have had trouble?
No, but anyone not prepared for this level of scale would have trouble. I mean, Amazon might act high and mighty, but this is unique, unprecedented. Never in history has anything like this happened. So he might sound high and mighty, but it's not.
It went from nothing to bigger than Tinder, nearly as big as Twitter. Is that roughly it?
Yes. It's doing like at the moment, judging by time, it's people spend more time playing Pokemon than they spend doing anything else on their mobile phones, at least in the US.
Right, but speaking of Google's cloud, I did hear another indication of someone saying it's not quite there yet, and that was in terms of customer demand, because earlier today, Friday if you're watching this next week, I was at Rackspace Solve, which their regular customer event conveniently came to Liverpool Street, just down the road from us, and I went along and spoke to John Engates from Rackspace, who in the last year Rackspace has gone from doing its own public cloud, which it still does, and hosting and supporting other people's public cloud, private clouds, and adding into that support for public cloud from Microsoft Azure and Amazon Web Services. And John said to me, so we're supporting all the major public clouds. And I said, so you're telling me Google isn't a major public cloud? And he said, well, yes. According to customer demand, they're ready. They've got people who know what to do with Google Cloud. But if they're not, the customers aren't asking to have it provided for them.
Yeah, you mentioned how many people do they have working on AWS officially certified?
Oh, they've got 300 certified, and they've gone to that from nothing at all in sort of late last year when they launched it. So yeah, I mean, there's clear, and they tell me that Azure is ramping up at a similar sort of fast rate.
It's going to be very interesting, exactly, because Microsoft was late to the cloud party, but they have been doing some very, very interesting things. Azure is getting bigger, and we're almost coming up to the release of the Azure Stack, actually.
We're coming up to, in late 2016, the second technical preview of the Azure Stack. They've announced this week some changes to the plan service, which they were planning originally to make it available to use on hardware of the choice, the customer's choice. But now they're working together with HPE, Dell and Lenovo with a view to speeding up development of the service and release. I think the final release date now is chalked in for mid-2017, so we can look out for that. But as I say, the second technical preview is expected later this year. Something to look out for.
Talking of Microsoft and let's say something positive about Microsoft, because we really appreciate, the whole industry appreciates what Microsoft has been doing with privacy.
Yes.
2 years ago, the US US law enforcement agencies came after Microsoft asking them to release emails from one of their customers, emails, and the whole email files of one of their customers.
Allegedly a drug dealer, right?
Well, a person of interest in a drugs investigation in New York, and the police basically said that they got a warrant that said release these emails, and went to Microsoft expecting, as you would, that Microsoft would say, sure, have them. But in fact, Microsoft said, no, wait a minute, they're in Dublin. This search warrant only applies to the US. And that sparked off 2 years of suit and appeal. Microsoft's appeal against that search warrant has just been upheld by the US appeals court, basically saying that your search warrant doesn't apply to outside the US unless it is a search warrant sort of crafted through international agreements to do that. This result is an endorsement of the idea of using local data centres for privacy, and so that that your data, the privacy jurisdiction that applies to your data. So, a couple of environmental stories. First of all, renewable energy, I think, has come up.
Yes. So Digital Realty made a very important announcement this week. It's buying 400,000 megawatt hours of renewable power, and basically switching all of their data centers in the US to renewables. It's going to be wind power. They're buying it from E.ON. And I mean, what else can we say about this? This is great. But like wind power, Digital Realty is a huge data center provider, and it's obviously it's biggest in the US. So that's their main market. So
yes, I mean, one observation about this is that previously Digital Realty has been a brand that isn't very visible. They've been sort of doing wholesale data centers and maybe dealing with a smaller number of more hard-nosed clients that might be more swayed by cost than environmental issues. Now they're starting to move towards retail. They're starting to find they need to upgrade the social responsibility view of their brand. Okay, and moving up the stack to get some clever environmental gains.
Well, Microsoft and the Australian National University have been working together to do some research into potential gains on or savings on energy usage, and basically what they've discovered is that there's potential savings of 25% of the data center's operating costs. And how they've achieved this is by tweaking the operating system of an operating system that handles search requests, which is obviously very it needs to be very responsive very quickly. It needs to be snappy so that it returns the requests back to the user who made them very quickly. But a lot of the time, these operating systems are sitting around waiting for a search request to come in. So that what they call this idle time. When they're in this idle state, they've switched the OS around so that it can handle non-time critical tasks, and found that basically this can possibly achieve as much as 25% cost savings.
So, now we're joined by a special guest, Paul Mangles, who runs DCD's Awards programme. Now, Paul, I gather this year is a special year for DCD's EMEA Awards, isn't it?
It's a very big year, yeah. We've reached our 10th anniversary
Congratulations.
for the years. Thank you very much, yeah. Haven't been here for the whole 10 years myself, although it does feel like it. But yeah, we will, in December, be marking the 10th gala ceremony that we've had, be handing out the 10th incarnation of the awards that we've done, and we're very excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there'll be some looking back at what happens in the past and looking forward to what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, and what's exciting is that we've got a lot of categories which give us a good opportunity to reflect on what we've done. So ever since we started doing the awards, we've had a future thinking category. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to be very interesting to look back over what people felt was the future in 2007, and actually what happened and did that come to pass.
Right.
We have a number of young mission critical engineers who we have recognised over the years, who some of them will now be getting into middle age. And it's a question of, were they the next generation of data centres that we expected them to be, and was their journey the same journey that they expected it to be? So yeah, I think it's a really nice point. 10 years, obviously, it's a nice chink in the road to kind of stop and go, okay, well, what's gone was very cool.
Yes.
Let's look at this and let's understand from it. But also, I think the strength of the awards has always been about that crucial question of what's next. And where do people see the industry and the market going? And I think at this 10-year point, it's also a good opportunity for us to look forward as it is to look back.
Yeah, I think you're right about those young mission-critical engineers. I heard from one, the 2011 alumnus only this week, and his you can see his article on the site. He's at Sudlow's.
Yeah, brilliant.
And doing very well for himself, and I'm sure we weren't meaning to imply that he's middle-aged.
Absolutely not, no. I mean, you would have been under 30 in the first point, so yeah, we're going back to about 2007 here for middle-aged, yeah.
And and on the website and in the magazine, we're going to try to find some of the winners from 2007 and basically, try to find out more about them, like where did the road take them, are they still around, are they working in the same industry? So that's going to be very, very interesting.
I agree, yeah. And it's also a nice point to maybe talk about some of the new categories that we are introducing for this year as well, because, as I say, it's been an evolution as the industry has. So one of the new categories this year is for our sustainable data centre category. This is very much of the age. How do people build and design and operate so that they are having as least impact on environmental and human health as they possibly can. But quite rightly, there's been some major organisations, everyone in the industry will know who they are, who have been very loud and very significant in what they're doing in renewable energy and that kind of stuff. And this award is for all of those projects, large or small, that have the potential to be industry defining in the way we use and source renewable energy.
Right. We're going to go out there and find them, even if they haven't had a huge PR machine.
Well, that's the hope, yeah. Because I mean, obviously, a lot of the companies that we will know who are doing some great things in this area do have massive PR machines. I would urge everybody who's watching this, if you're doing anything with regard to renewables or sustainable, even at a low level, even at a kind of ideas phase at the moment, this is what we want to hear about. As I say, if it has the capacity to be industry defining and an exemplar for other data centres that are in their build stage to use, then that's what we want to look at.
And any of the other categories too.
And that is the case with all of the other categories. If you're doing any projects, I'd urge you to head to the website. The other new category that we have this year is the open category. So this is very much in line with the idea that there are major open source movements which are empowering us to develop more intelligent and free-flowing infrastructure across the whole IT stack. Right. I think we're really taking the approach and the methodology of OpenStack and Open Compute and this whole open sourced world, which suggests the fact that if we share best practice, then we all grow, and we all have the ability to take the best ideas and cross-pollinate where we can, and rather than everybody being secretive about what they're doing, if they share it, everybody can grow and everybody can improve. And I think that would be a really cool category.
Thank you for joining us. We're looking forward to the awards, to the entries coming in. We're looking forward to the judging process and the eventual gala dinner. Absolutely, me too. And if I may finally say, if anybody is interested in entering their projects or their people for the awards, simply head to the website. My name's Paul Mangles. You'll find all my contact details there. And I'm very happy to chat through any of the projects you've been working on and offer advice about relevant categories. When's the closing date? Closing date will be end of September, date to be confirmed. Okay, so at this stage that feels like plenty of time, but it can creep up. We all know how time flies, Excellent. Thank you very much, Paul. That was very exciting to hear. Now, and thank you for watching this. Hope you'll join us next time we look into the white space.